Well, another confusing thing in Aurobindo. Many people have heard Aurobindo speak of the supermind. But first of all, I should clarify that supermind is not something beyond mind. Like you say, Superman, somebody greater than man, who is really more powerful than man. We have read about this in different modern contexts. And even Nietzsche speaks about the Superman. But there have been different concepts. Sure, even though Superman is not one who has a more power than the human being, greater capacity than the normal human beings. It's a completely different level of consciousness. Like we cannot say a man is a completely somebody greater chimpanzee. No, mind is a completely different faculty, a different consciousness. There may be the greatest of chimpanzees, most clever one, but still it cannot be called man. Similarly, a human being can have a great realization, maybe having a psychic realization, or having tremendous powers, vitality, capacity, physical capabilities, and yet he is not the Superman. Superman is absolutely a different consciousness. It's like saying that what is the difference between animal and man? The same difference lies between man and Superman. There's a species level. It's not the question of range, that there is a higher mind and a greater mind and then it becomes Supermind. It's not the question of a range of consciousness. It is the highest species difference. So let us understand first of all that is what is Supermind in Aurobindo. And next, if there is a question of the Supermind in the process of in this creation of this world, in this becoming of the world, you see, we have to understand one thing, that when this world became, or when the Supreme manifested himself as this earth, there has been a specific specific, stepping down. And that involution has taken place through the agency of the Supermind. But then let's take that example. Was this world the only choice before Brahman, or is becoming many? Because the primary concept is the Supreme Brahman, the one consciousness, wanted to become the many. That is the underlying idea. But in this becoming, there are different agencies that are employed. And the agency that is employed is called the Supermind. The Supermind is nothing but the dynamic Satchitananda. Because Satchitananda can have two poises. One is the eternal static poise. In spite of having Sat, Chit, Tapas and Ananda, it could be static in the sense non-manifest. But when the Satchitananda wants to manifest, that level is called the Supermind. That's why Supermind is an absolute divine consciousness and power. Now, when we ask this question of the role of Supermind, so if this is the idea that we get, of course, this idea of the Supermind was also suggested and spoken of in the Vedas as Satyam, Ritam, Brihat. The same consciousness is there. So they spoke about it. They envisioned it, but it is Sri Aurobindo who, through his tapasya, which he did at Pondicherry from 1910 to 1950, about 40 years of tapasya, he ultimately succeeded in bringing it down. Because what we have to understand is that this level of consciousness was there since the time eternal, since manifestation began. But at each level, the overmind is there, the mind is there, But each of these levels of consciousness had to be brought down upon earth. So up until now, there have been many avatars, what we say Dashavatar, who have brought down different levels of human consciousness. Like we have the Sri Rama who has brought down the mental consciousness. We speak of Sri Krishna who has brought down the overmental consciousness. But then this question of the supermind, that level of consciousness was glimpsed at by the Vedic rishis. But it is Sri Aurobindo who is to be given the privilege. He was the person given this role of bringing down the supermind. And this supermind is what is really the new consciousness. Now when we say when this new consciousness comes upon earth, what will it do? What is its role, you say? You ask the question, what is the role of supermind in Aurobindo philosophy or Aurobindo upon this earth? You see, I would ask the same question, what is the role of mind upon earth? When there was only the monkeys and the trees and the wild animals, what happened to the earth when mind came? Well, mind came again thousands of years back. But man was not a fully mental being in the beginning. He received the mind slowly. From the caveman, when we start a little painting, doing the agriculture or doing hunting, then it takes to agriculture, then it settles down in a place, calls it a small village. There has been a slow growth of the mental consciousness. And it is this process of growth of the mental consciousness that we call the history of human civilization. How man from the caveman became the computer man. So this is how mind has come into the human being in greater quantities, doses, and becoming more effective. But what has it done? How has it affected the earth? He has created beautiful civilization with forts and temples and religions and whatnot. Cultural, beautiful beauty, aesthetics, painting and art. He has had a great impact upon earth. And yet, the same man has been very destructive of this earth also. He has always thought that he is the supreme creation. This earth is meant for him, for his enjoyment, for his fulfillment. So there has not been much, people have not taken care of earth. They have destroyed forests, destroyed animals, destroyed everything. So there has been a relation which is not very comfortable between mind and the animal, man and the animal. So this is because man is egoistic, thinks of his own satisfaction, his own needs primarily. So that way, each time a new consciousness comes, it has an impact. But unfortunately, mind has had a negative impact upon earth. Now, when this supermind comes, is a big question of when. Of course, it is known now that the descent of supermind has taken place. It was in 1950 that consciousness descended into the physical body of Sri Aurobindo. And that is the first touchdown, as we say, of supermind upon earth. After this touchdown into the body of Sri Aurobindo, which was an individual body, there has been a greater landing of the same supramental consciousness upon this entire earth, which was done by the mother in 1956. However, this is only the first touchdown on the universal level, cosmic level. But just as the mind took time, thousands of ages to really penetrate the consciousness of the light level, so too, the supermind will take thousands of years perhaps. And that too, with the conscious effort of the human being to rise into that consciousness. There's got to be both a movement, the descent and the ascent. The humanity has to aspire and the divinity has to answer with its grace. So supermind has come down, but it is only on the subtle physical. So it has to manifest upon the physical and the vital life of human beings. So when it comes down, slowly things will transform. Well, I would say, just as when the spaceship lands on the moon, the first touchdown when it creates a lot of dust. There's a huge cloud of dust around it. So there is a kind of a response from Earth. When Supermind has touched down upon Earth in 1956, the human consciousness has been resistant, and there's a cloud of ignorance, of resistance that has really clouded the coming of Supermind, clouded the understanding of Supermind. And we are going still through the phase when there's a clouding of the human consciousness. And when the mind says, look, I don't know what's happening. Why there are these fights? How do we harmonize these people? How to bring in union into this world? He says, I have no power, I have no vision. So let the dust of human mental consciousness settle down. And then slowly, Supermind can take over, bring effect upon the individuals, group people, and upon Earth on a whole. And when it takes hold of more and more people upon this Earth, it will have a beautiful effect. Unlike what the mind had when it came down upon Earth, it was criticizing, killing, destroying Earth. Supermind will bring in harmony. And then the physical, all the ailments and the illnesses will reduce slowly and gradually. And there is a question of unity, the divisive consciousness of human beings on the level of the individual, on the level of the nations, on the level of religion. Everywhere there is a divisive consciousness because we are ruled by the mind. And this ruling of the mind, when there is the question of the Superman comes in, the first thing is this divisiveness goes away. More and more there will be harmony. So what we think of the human unity, world unity, will gradually become a reality of this world. Of course, this whole process has to begin with individuals. Any part of the world, it's not just in India, but any part of the world, if individuals are open to this higher consciousness, then we can imbibe the supramental consciousness more and more. And the more such individuals are there, the faster will be the rapidity of the work of the Supermind. So what will be its role in one word upon Earth? It will make Earth a heaven. For sure, this speaks of the transforming Earth into heaven. This is exactly what the Vedic rishis also had said, that we have to transform Earth into a paradise. So it is no more the paradise is not in this abstract world, but the Earth itself will become. We may have to struggle a lot because of our own human imbecility, our own egoism, but that is the future that Aurobindo is looking forward to. And all this great vision is given most wonderfully in his great book, the epic Savitri, A Legend and a Symbol. So this is where we see the role of Supermind extremely beautifully detailed and described in most of his major works. So this is the new vision of Supermind vis-a-vis Earth and man. I hope the question is clear. Let us see next time what question we'll receive.